do this.
Is being recorded.
All right, so we're on Charlie's Corner with Rocky and Alma. We're still trying to get Alma to show her face. I'm sure she'll eventually do that. Um, just chatting with Rocky. So I'm going to be doing the DAC show in Nashville. I fly out tomorrow. Haven't done I've done all of their shows. Uh, haven't been the strongest, but it's a small show, and I've been doing that one for years and years. They've added on a bunch of different venues. So it used to be three venues, now it's six, and may have been a little too premature, but who knows? In any event, some interesting things going on for the Dallas show, um, which I'm hoping you'll attend. I'm not sure if I'm going to be attending. Um, they've turned over all the seminars and workshops to the Maid Lab, which is affiliated with Rock Machinery. Um, in any event, I'm not sure if I'm doing a workshop or not. They've got me working with Dane and with John McGee. Do you know John at all?
I've heard the name. I'd have to see his face to know if I know him.
Okay, so John was a client of mine many years ago, and he works for Avian. And so instead of doing a workshop, they've got us broken into four seminars. Dane doing the first one on artwork, and then John and I doing the next three on production, et cetera, et cetera. I have no idea if we're going to have any hands-on situation or not. And they've changed the dates of the show. They're doing it now Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So there is no Saturday show. And they've moved it to the Lowe's Anatole. So
Okay.
I don't know if you've been up on that or not, but the people who I usually deal with are not the ones I'm dealing with at all. Ryan from Ryanet is actually heading it up along with Brett from Maid Lab. So I have no clue what to expect, what's going on. Still trying to figure it out. In any event, sounds like I'll be in Dallas, but other than that, I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Do you know the dates of that show?
I do. Give me a moment and I will pull that up for you.
Looking at a calendar, I'm trying to figure out where I'll be during that show.
Okay, it's October 21st to the 23rd.
I will be in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a positive
Yeah.
already. So yeah, it's the 21st to the 23rd. So I'll be in on the 20th and leaving the night of the 23rd, I assume. Okay. And that could change in a heartbeat as well. So I'll definitely stay in touch with you on all of that.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know how they're scheduling. I don't know how they're dealing with anything. So who knows? Could be an interesting year for me. I mean, I've only been doing the workshop for 40 years, and now they decide to change it. And they turned it over to another organization, which I'm just curious how M&R and any of the other manufacturers are going to feel about it, since it's all going to be rock and rock related. So who knows? How's everything going on your end? Busy, not busy?
Very, very busy so far. Since I'm not traveling, I'm trying to settle down into a routine, but I'm still playing a lot of catch up and printing a lot of shirts. We're still supplying the shirts for the airplanes and the tour.
Right.
And what I'm doing is I'm flying out on the weekends, taking them more merchandise and coming back. And they're selling a lot more shirts than I anticipated. So I'm
Well,
trying
that's
to
a
catch up.
wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's no problem. It's just I got Pam out in the shipping container running the embroidery machines for all the hats.
Okay.
And we got to print shirts. So I keep printing. I was printing this morning and we keep running out of stuff. So I'm having to, I've got, right now I used this morning, we ran out of ink wash. So I got a sample I got from Franmar, which is the first time I used Franmar color change. I
Okay.
gotta see if I like it. So we'll go out and buy some more of that tomorrow.
Well, Franmol makes a really good product.
Yeah.
And I've got several clients who love their stuff. So, and if it's working, that's really the important thing.
Well, we got some samples at the show a
Right.
while back, but because we had plenty of ink wash, we never got around to using the samples. So today I
Okay.
ran out, I had to use it, and I'm liking it.
Okay. Well, that's one. The one that I use at all the workshops now is from Easy Way. It's their 701. And
Yeah.
that stuff is just powerful. It's just boom, boom, and it's clean. So, but like anything else, there's a good amount of product on the market. And everybody's being quote unquote environmentally conscious.
So the Easy Solve 701, is that a ink wash or ink degraded?
It's an ink wash, I believe.
Okay.
It's what I use to clean all the screens at the show.
Okay, because I've got some of that, and it shows that it's a screen wash and a stain remover. So that made me think it was a reclaiming chemical.
No, no, it's not a reclaiming.
Okay.
It is just for cleaning screens,
Okay.
and really strong, really powerful.
Cool. I'm gonna try that too because
Well,
I've been.
as long as you've got samples anyway, you may as well test them all out and see which one works best for you.
Well, since Alma and Pam have been running most of the screen printing for the last few years because I was on the road,
Right.
They've got chemicals in here that I wasn't using back when I was doing all the screen printing, and so I'm still trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, the good thing is you've got samples, and so you can definitely test them out.
Alma, are you in here or not?
She's not on yet.
So
It's
yeah,
all right.
out these samples. Everything is going pretty well. I'm going to have to, as soon as I catch up printing the shirts that I'm backlogged on, I want to go back and start a soup to nuts overhaul on our entire procedures because things are not working out the way I think they should. And so I've got to find out, did I do something wrong or what got changed while I was gone? So we'll figure it out.
Doing an analysis of your place is always something that's worthwhile, especially if you haven't been in touch for a while, just because you come in with a bit of a more of a fresh eye than if you're in there every day cranking away.
Yeah, well, these ladies have been definitely cranking away, getting the job done, but
Well,
not
that's
handling the peripheral stuff, you know.
if they're getting it out the door, that's a good thing. That's certainly what you're looking for. But if you can find a way of um, increasing productivity without really throwing a monkey wrench into the middle of it, then that's a good thing too. And
That's what the job is. I got to increase productivity, increase our efficiency, and make us more viable. So,
do you have your procedures all written down?
I did, yes,
Okay.
but they're not really being followed.
Well, sometimes it pays to go back and reread it.
Yeah.
and see if there's anything there that could, things change all the time anyway. And so what was a proper procedure, a couple of years ago may just not fall in place right now.
Well, what I'm doing is, since there's only the two of us left, we don't have, we used to have 4 employees, but we're just down to Alma and Pam, is making sure that I get their input, because what I found is I can say, this is how we do things, but if they don't agree with it, then it doesn't get done the way I want it done.
Yeah, well, that's the nature of the beast, and everybody does fall into that category. And you're right. I mean, it can't be just you dictating. You've got to get input first.
Yeah, because they probably know something I don't know, since they've been doing it all this time.
Well, exactly.
So I'm leaning heavily on their expertise. But in terms of imprinting, everything seems to be going fairly smooth. I do have to figure out how they're popping all these screens, because they're popping a lot of roller frame mesh. That's starting to get
Yeah,
expensive.
that's not a good thing.
No. And so I don't know if it's a storage issue, because one of the biggest problems we have to overcome here is our size limitations. We don't have a lot of room.
Right.
And so we got to find a way to maximize the floor plan. So that's on my agenda. There she is.
There you are. How you doing?
Hanging in.
Well, okay, all good. By the way, my wife unfortunately had a meeting, so she sends regards, but isn't able to jump on. She's out of the house right now. So,
Well, please give her my love.
but all good here. Well, now that we're all on, how are you doing?
It's same old for me, Charlie. Just working, punching the clock, and then working in the shop, and then working in the shop and punching the clock, and about the same. I think the not traveling has kind of helped my peace of mind a bit. I'm not just completely dragged out and exhausted. Still tired, but that was kind of getting kind of brutal. As is it Murdaugh says in the Lethal Weapon series, I'm getting too old for this. So it was getting to be a bit of a drag.
I know what getting too old for this is like. But here we are. We still push on.
We do.
I'm not sure if anybody else joining us. I let Jim know that you guys are going to be on, but his printer is out today, and so he's trying to do all the catch up himself, which is always a joyful moment.
No explanation needed. When you said his printer was out, I got a whole picture of what's going on. So
well, he may jump on somewhere along the line. I'm just not sure, but we'll see. And then it's funny because back when I first started all this, and you guys were on way back, I can't even remember how far back. We'd get a bunch of people on, 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever. Nowadays, I just don't do this often enough. I should be doing it twice a month. I do it maybe once a month now. And so I'm not sure if anybody's going to jump on or not, but that's okay. Gives us a chance to just chat and see whatever we wanted and say whatever we want. I am recording this, so if for some reason you need to go back for any reason, it'll be on my website. But we were talking about, Rocky was mentioning that you wanted to go back and revisit procedures that you're doing in the screen area, and that you're popping a fair amount of screens periodically. You're using Newman roller frame still.
Yes.
We are. The most recent incident was we were about to put some screens on the press, screens that we had used before, and they were being stored in a rack. And as I pulled the screen out, it was already popped.
It had blown out.
It had already blown out, yeah. So, and we store them mesh side up. So it wasn't really abrading on anything that I'm aware of. So I don't it's
You
wonderful.
know,
But,
what tension do you bring your screens to in
um,
general?
we stretch them to 35 newtons. Rocky's got a big sign on the stretcher machine that says
Okay.
minimum 35 newtons.
I mean, 35, certainly, you're using a lot of, anything from 110 to 230?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And there's no reason why that tension should create a problem. Um, it could be that you need to soften your corners just a touch more. Are you using panels?
We're
Yeah,
using panels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't soften the corners, and they are what they are. Um, sometimes it's just one of those things where it just sits around, and it doesn't take much at that tension to touch a corner or whatever, and it'll just split. Um, I know in working at Jim's place, I'll get in there and he's been using his easy frames for a long time now, and I'll come in and I see a number of them split also, uh, just from sitting around. It just doesn't take much at that tension to lose it, unfortunately. And everybody would like to have uh, a way of making sure that they don't split unless there's something that goes on press.
Yeah.
I wish I had the answer on that, but they don't. They just they have their moments.
Well, on my list of things to do is I've got wooden cabinets with wooden runners that they slide on. And so I think I'm gonna go back and line the runners with felt or something to soften those edges. Because even though
Yeah.
they're sanded down, I still think they're probably getting bumped, getting in and out the cabinet.
And yeah, Jim was doing the same thing. He in his cabinet, he's putting a liner over the 2x2s so that when he slides in, uh, at that tension, it just takes a nick and it's gone. And I'm trying to think of what you can actually put on. I think um, you almost have to find some kind of plastic tubing that you can just slit and then slide it onto it. But
Yeah, I can do that.
I have a feeling you're going to be searching for a couple of things. I'll be over at Jim's place next week, and I'll see what kind of recommendations he might have. But yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. I wish that there was a better. I'm not sure if maybe putting an epoxy coat over the wood and letting it harden in will give you will take away any of the slight burrs or slight little splinters that may be sticking up.
So that's one of the process we're doing. The other thing is I'm trying to get our registration just does not work, and I've got it on the board. I've got it mounted on the exposure unit, and then we put the registration plate onto the press, and things can come. I mean, they're just not lining up. So since I haven't been the one doing it, I have to go back and find out where the discrepancy is.
Yeah.
It's still way too long.
Well, what I found, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it to you, on the press that you have, because of when it goes to lock down, it has that little groove.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't come down dead in the center of your frame, it moves it.
Right.
And that's just on the workhorse. And that was one of the things that I had mentioned years back to, I think his name is Tyler, that why don't you just fill that in so that it's a solid area? And this way, it doesn't catch and potentially move the frame. And because the other company I was working with, where I noticed that, was also using roller frames. And so even though they had a clamp adapter that they put on, even with that, if it doesn't hit just dead on, it moves it. Doesn't move it a lot, just enough so that even though you got it in register, when you go to lock down, it shifts it.
Yep,
Yep.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. You know, what are you using on top of your screen so that you don't crush them? Are you using a clamp adapter or?
Yes. Yeah, we have a
Okay.
clamp.
You know, you have to center those dead on your roller frames, and
Yep.
you have to come down dead in the middle of those. So you may have to adjust how your screens are sliding in so that you're absolutely dead nuts on. Otherwise, I mean, and I watched it again and again and again. It's like, damn, it's that little groove that is just creating that movement because it's not coming down flat. It's coming down with an opening. And that if it catches a little bit of that, the heel of that opening, it moves it.
Yep. We've seen that. So,
Mhm.
so part of what I'm trying to do to alleviate that is to set up on our registration board locations so that when we have to do, whether it's a shirt front or shirt back or a pocket, that it moves the image. It changes the placement on the screen so that we don't have to move the holders on the press as much. So
Okay.
right now they're moving the screens back and forth and the platen back and forth, and I'm trying to eliminate having to do that every time. So it's just something I have to do. I did it once and it worked for me, years ago when I was doing it, but I think it's I don't know if it's got out of registration or what.
You know, I'm not sure if it's, to me, when I played with it, it was really because of the press, not because of the individuals doing the setup. Because they get it registered and they go to lock and clamps came down and boom, it moved it. And it's like, damn, getting it registered wasn't the problem. Getting it to hold the registration was the problem.
Yeah. And we are
So,
still using your trick with the plastic on top of the
yes,
screen, marking it, lining it up that way. So we're still using that too because we've kind of gotten away from using the actual workhorse registration because it just never seemed to
it never really got to it. It's not only workhorse. I mean, I know people who have the M&R Tri-Lock
Yeah.
and they run into an issue with it periodically. I know people who have the Rock registration system. All of those systems are supposed to work flawlessly. Yeah. The only time that I've seen them work flawlessly is at a show, and I don't know how many screens they've shot in order to get it to be flawless.
Right.
But I've gone into too many shops, and every one of them has to still micro. It'll put you close, but you still have to micro. And the number of times, the only time it's dead on the money is when you're doing a one color job. That seems to work perfectly.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We use it mainly for one color job. If we have a multicolor job, we put the piece of plastic over the plat and raise it up and
Yeah,
mount it.
registration tape definitely, to me, is the best way of getting things registered because you're only going to use one shirt and you don't have to keep playing with it. If it's not clean, you wipe it dry, you register until you're dead on, and then move on. And and you're seeing the actual print happening, which is really the important thing, as opposed to just visually you can get it to line up, but once that squeegee comes down, it's going to shift the mesh just a hairline. And so really you have to rely on the print, not on the visual.
Yep.
I have a funny story, Charlie. We had some of our crew members over here the other day picking up some items, and they had their little grandson with them. And so Rocky was showing them how the press works. And we had one screen. We decided to reprint a design, but we had turned the compressor off, so we knew there was going to be a little bit of adjustment. And so I did a sample print, and the colors were a little bit off. And I showed the wife what it was and kind of what we had. I mean, it might have been an eighth of an inch. I mean, it wasn't, or 16th of an inch. It wasn't very much, but it was enough that you would notice it. And she was aghast. She's like, "Oh my God, Alma, how did you see that? I didn't even see that. This looks perfect to me." And I told her, I said, I will tell you, if any screen printer
Yeah.
saw this shirt, they would have a conniption because they would know immediately that it was out of registration. And so it's funny how,
Unfortunately, yes.
unfortunately, it's funny how
You know,
completely awry that was to me, and it looked perfect to her.
the average person buying a shirt isn't looking for the registration. They're just looking at the overall design. And if the overall design is dynamic, they're good with it. Um, as screen printers, I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Anytime I go into a place where there's printed garments on the rack, I thumb through them just to see uh, the quality of the print, the registration, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, everybody looks at you like you're out of your mind. It's like, what the hell are you doing over here? Uh, and it's pretty staggering how many shirts are just not in register, or the print is just a bad print. They don't have any vibrancy to them. And of course, you turn them inside out and you realize that there's more ink on the inside of the shirt than the outside of the shirt, which is not uncommon. Um, and everybody says, oh, well, it's from overseas. Yeah, some of it is, some of it isn't. It doesn't really matter. What's interesting, so right now we have the World Cup on, and in soccer. And so my daughter's boyfriend actually flew to San Diego to see the Americans play earlier in the week, and he brought me back a T-shirt. And I'm thinking, well, just what I need, another T-shirt. So the World Cup, the amount of shirts that they print is massive, right?
Yeah.
So this is what DTF looks like. They did their shirts with DTF. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding. Why would you do a DTF for the World Cup? And I'm looking right at it.
That's got to be a 500,000 shirts. I
they
mean,
knocked out the black on some of it, but not on all of it. So it feels like a sheet of plastic. And my thing was like, it's a one color print on the front. Why in the hell would you go through all the trouble of applying it, peeling it, reheating it, hitting it a second time, etc. Now the back of the shirt is full color. And again, it's all DTF. And they didn't even knock out the black. So, I mean, you can't see it, but it's all the teams, etc. And it's a DTF transfer. And it looks like crap. I mean, it's in register. The colors are there. I don't know how true the colors are to the team colors, because depending on whose DTF machine they're printing with, some of them, many of them, have a limited situation in terms of what color range they can get to, whether it's just CMYK or, is it truly a full color situation. But I don't know if you can see it, but see how it's shiny all over here? That's because they didn't knock out the black. And it's like, what? I mean, you talk about a shirt, and I don't know what he paid for the shirt, but being at the World Cup, it's got to be a $30 shirt or more. And, would I pay $30 for this shirt? I mean, the shirt itself is a nice heavyweight. And of course, you get all of the accoutrement. Yeah, he ripped off the price point, which he should. I mean, it's a gift. So I can't knock it on that level. But I mean, I never thought that anybody would bother doing a DTF transfer when you're talking about thousands and thousands of shirts. And yet here they are, looking like garbage to anybody who knows, feels like crap, because whatever they did, they didn't even soften the print. So they just whacked away at this thing. And
Yeah,
it made no sense because uh, the only thing that made sense is if they didn't have a press big enough to do the back in full color.
yeah, we've been debating on that here. We actually tried a DTF. We went to a local guy and for one of our designs, only because we were under the gun and we had to do it last minute. But one of the things I've been trying to go back and forth with Alma and Pam about is that if it's a one color job, it's always going to be faster to do screen print than it is to do DTF because
Absolutely.
just simply, like you said, peeling and heat pressing it, that takes time. Whereas if you got a one color job on an automatic press, you can just bang them right out. But even if we go up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors, once you get it set, we can just crank shirts out. It's always going to be faster than a heat press. And I like the hand better. So
absolutely.
We might dabble.
You know, the show that I'm going to tomorrow is small. 50% of the show will be showing DTF. You know how much screen print they're going to show? 0.
Wow.
I've been doing, so this is the fifth show that I'm doing for this company this year. I think the only show was the very first one that had somebody who was a screen printing supplier. Other than that, 0 screen printing suppliers, nothing but DTF. And what's interesting, so I was looking at the automatic carousels to apply the DTF transfer. And so the one that I got to see, well, there are a couple, but the one that I got to speak to was M&R. So their machine they've rated it at 300 pieces an hour. That's running speed. That's like your press is rated at probably 1,000 pieces an hour. What was the last time you got even close to that? Okay. So when you take running speed at 300 an hour, anytime you stop, you're going to be losing X amount of production. Okay. If it's 300 an hour, so that's what, 5 a minute. So every minute you stop cuts into that, cuts down by 5. You have to stop to put on more transfers. You have somebody loading and unloading. That's not even the problem. So even if they're doing a great job, they may be able to get to 200 to 250 in an hour, maybe. On your automatic, you should certainly be able to get to 250 to 300 an hour. And that 300 an hour that they're talking about is actual running time. There's still setup that's involved. You still have to set up the suction cups to catch the right spot, the suction cups to do the peeling for you. So, in a day, what can you expect? And the answer is, even if it's the same job all day long, you're going to have 7.5 to 8 hours of production. So maybe you could get to 1,500 if you don't have to change jobs. And, when I look at a screen print situation, once you're set up, not a problem. You're going to crank away. Now, of course, if you have to do changeovers of jobs, that's going to cut into it as well. The guy that I work with in New York has 26 automatics or 28 automatics running. They do 10 to 12 setups a day, and they average out about 1,000 prints per press. Considering that there are 10 to 12 setups, that's a great number. Okay. His average job is less than 100 pieces. So when he's doing long runs, which he doesn't get to do that often because that's not how they're set up, he can certainly go to double that number. In your case, you're doing decent sized runs, I'm assuming, a couple of 100 pieces here and there. So you should be able to certainly get to that same situation if you're setting up and breaking down quickly enough.
Yeah.
On DTF, I don't care who it is, I don't care what machinery they have, they still have to have a certain amount of not weeding, but cutting out et cetera. So I guess it is a weeding situation to some extent. And you still have to apply it. And it just takes time.
Yeah.
So, the fact that they're doing World Cup with a DTF transfer, I'm amazed. I just am. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, from an industry perspective, I can understand how folks are flipping to that because entry into DTF is, I can imagine, just considerably lower than it is for screen printing, even if it's just for equipment, skill level. I mean, with screen printing, there's a much steeper learning curve.
It is. I
And
totally agree.
yeah, and so, but I just, in fact, the person that we went to do the kind of interim run of some designs we needed. I think Rocky called me out because he was like, she doesn't really like DTF. But I was like, oh,
I
let me
don't
tell
like
you why I
DTF.
don't like it. And I
Listen,
told him, I was very honest. I said, I don't like the hand. I mean, I think screen printing is just a better feel and
yeah, it
for the
is.
most
And the
part.
look and the vibrancy. Okay. The thing with DTF, and when I'm at these shows, everybody is showing the DTF and they're showing the best that they have. And they've knocked out the black and they've knocked out other colors. And some of them definitely have softer transfers than others, because there are things you can do. You can hit it with sandpaper, as another application. So you would do the transfer, peel it, put sandpaper on and hit it again, or a canvas bag or whatever. And they've got new things coming out to make it a softer hand. It still has that gloss to it that I hate, but that's besides the point. I certainly understand the need for it on a short run. Somebody needs 12 shirts, full color. There's no chance in hell that you can screen print those and make any money, or you're going to have to charge a ridiculous amount of money for the shirts. Most people don't know the difference, and those that do really don't want DTF because but for the average consumer, they wouldn't know the difference no matter what. That being said, certainly the cost of getting into screen print and the learning curve is absolutely much greater than DTF. Some of the DTF units at the show that I've looked at, they come in at about $25,000, $30,000, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What can you expect to get? Well, it's a total hand operation. So setting up your artwork isn't that big a problem. Printing is not that big a deal. Speed is pretty good. They have automatic shakers that are built in, or they have them on the side. The problem that I see is once you get into that and you start having to do a longer run, somebody comes to you and they need 40, 50 transfers, not a big deal. Okay. They could probably knock them out pretty well. They need several hundred. That several hundred is going to take a huge amount of time. It just does.
Yep.
I don't think they can be profitable at it.
Yeah. I mean, so the people that I've had in my workshop were looking at screen print or DTF. I still think DTG is a better option myself in terms of the visuals, in terms of the hand. Of course, depending on whose machine you have, the speed is the major issue for most of those situations, just because it takes time, and you've got a long dwell time in the dryer, or you have to hit it with the transfer machine, which again changes the whole complexion of the thing. I wish there was a real simple answer. To me, it's a simple answer. Just screen print the damn thing. But
how do you feel the industry is going to be with DTF? Do you feel that because it is so easy to get into, it's going to change the financials of the industry? And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. In my years as a commercial photographer, before everything went digital, when we were shooting film, it's so much more complicated that there was less competition. when everything went digital and Photoshop became a big thing, there's so many wannabe photographers flooding the market that it depressed the wages. Do you think DTF might do that to screen printing also?
You know what? So there are a number of companies that were screen print companies that have sold off their screen printing equipment in a straight DTF. I think it comes down partially to who your market is. So if you've been marketing to a lot of smaller companies, where they're asking for anywhere from 12 to 144 shirts, can you make a living at DTF on that? Without a doubt, you can. Okay, you don't have all the people involved. You don't have all the equipment that's necessary. Some of the guys who've gotten pretty big in DTF, when they get a big run, you know what they're doing? They're subcontracting it to a screen printer because they realize, oh, I need to get out 3,000 pieces. Even with the best of equipment and the fastest of equipment, they are going to be tied up for many, many, many days. Okay. 3,000 pieces on a screen print, depending on the shop, will be generous, 2 days. Okay. DTF, no chance in hell you're going to do that in 2 days. Even if you're cranking away at 200 an hour, which you're not going to, it's going to take that many more days. And, it's just one of those things. Will it suppress the market financially? It could hit on the short runs, it could have some impact. Although the question is, why would they want to give away money? Okay. So some definitely are charging less than others, which is always the case. And you have that in screen print as well. There's always, no matter where you go, there's always a company that's the lowest price in town and always a company that's the highest price in town. And then it comes down to not just price, but also quality, customer service, et cetera. I mean, there's more to selling than just the price point. Will there be a major difference between DTF and screen print? Probably not. Just because you still have the garment, you still have to apply it. In screen printing, you're putting it on, you're pulling it off, it's going through the dryer, you're folding it up, that's that. With DTF, they have to put it on, they have to transfer it, they have to remove the transfer, they have to hit it again, then remove the shirt. And so they have a little bit more handling involved and they have more time involved. The fastest that I've seen has been like 10 seconds. So they got to put it on, apply, put the transfer in place, crank down for 10 seconds, peel it, come back and crank down again. And so the operation, what you're looking at is probably 20 to 30 seconds. We'll be generous, 20 seconds. On a screen print, you've got a print, you've got to then flash it. So if you're running the press at a decent speed, you're probably at about 6 seconds a shirt. So you're probably at 1/3 the time would be a quick guess. And even if you're not, you're certainly better than 50%, half the time. And so to me, they have to take into consideration all the time it takes to get that print out the door. And every one of those prints is going to take that amount of time. In a screen print situation, once you're up and running, if we allow 10 seconds a shirt, which I think is absurd, but if we allow 10 seconds a shirt, you're still doing 10 shirts an hour. 10 shirts a minute. And so where in a minute, even when they're up and running, they're doing 3 shirts a minute.
Yeah, I doubt they'll be able to do it that fast because we've done transfers before, and it takes a lot longer than 20 seconds just to get the shirt on it, line the transfer up, and then press it for 10 to 12 seconds.
Yeah, but you guys are nuts when you line up. You check too much, man. Just get it on and do it.
That's one of the things that we have because we make the shirts and then we turn around and sell them retail. on
Right.
tour. Like Alma was saying earlier about the customer not seeing that lineup, 99% of the time people won't notice it, but that one person who's going to come and say, well, look, this is not right. That's the
I
one we
know.
try to print for. We try to print to a little bit higher quality.
I do understand. I still think you guys take too much time to put a shirt on, but that's just an opinion.
Well, and I can't tell you how many times I've been to a show, God knows where, we've traveled all over the country, and somebody walks up to the booth that's a screen printer.
Of course.
And I feel like the IRS has come to my door, right? It's like they're going to be looking for everything and looking under this and through that. And it's just, I know that I know what they're looking at because I look at the same thing. I look like a psycho in an airport gift shop because I'm going through their embroidery, I'm going through their shirts, I'm looking on the inside, I'm looking at the tags. People probably are ready to call the cops on me because I get obsessed by what it looks like. So, but yeah, I mean, I do tend to
look, every screen
inspect
printer I know, including myself, that's looking at somebody else's print is looking at it as critically as they possibly
Here we
can.
are. Here
Okay.
we are.
And will we find faults? If you look hard enough, more than likely you could find something. Okay. Doesn't really matter what the print is or who the printer is. If everything is in dead perfect registration and it's dead in the center of the shirt, they're going to feel it and say, yeah, the hand isn't quite what I'd like.
Right.
Okay. If you want to pick something apart, you'll find a way of picking it apart.
That's very true.
The reality is, even when I do my workshops and my song and dance, is it a sellable shirt to the consumer? And out of register, I think is wrong. Okay. That being said, if it's a raster image, will they be able to pick out that it's out of register? No, they won't. And so even in class, and you've been in plenty of my workshops, when it comes to a raster image, if it's out by a hairline, I don't care because it's impossible to detect. Now, as soon as you move over to a vector print, that's a whole different ballgame because there you have things that have to butt up to each other or overlap, et cetera. And if it's out of register, will it show? It will in most cases. And so what's interesting is 99% of what goes on in this industry is still vector work. And so for those companies who are doing a lot of raster, it's great because they can actually get away with murder. By murder, I mean, if it isn't dead on the money, okay,
Yeah.
so it's not big deal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I have a ton of Andy Anderson shirts. I think he was the best printer in this country. Could you pick out anything about it that isn't quite right? If you really, I mean, you could find something. The question is, could you possibly do better than what he's done? And I would say in almost any case, the answer is no, you can't. You may be able to match what he could do, but you're definitely not going to do any better because he's a nut or was a nut. Matter of fact, I'm having lunch with him on Friday, which is kind of nice. But when they come to your booth, will they scrutinize it? Of course they're going to. They're screen printers. They're definitely going to see what it is that you do that they do or can't do or do better, etc. That's not your customer, though. Your customer is the person who's coming there to see the planes. Hey there, how you doing?
I'm well, and you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Getting older, that's all.
Rocky.
But
we have her isolated out in the embroidery area running the hats. I invited her to get on the Zoom call, but she said she wanted to get these hats done because we need them.
well, in any event, the more you can do on the raster side, good for you. And I think Did you ever do that print that I know I did one set of separations for you way back?
Yes, we did not. As Rocky said, it was OBE, overtaken by events. The plane for that design was down and it's still down. And we have found that people tend to, as you know, they'll buy a shirt for the plane they see.
Absolutely.
And so we've kind of tabled that for the short term. We need to go back to that soon because it will be up, I think, in August and out touring. But we kind of tabled that for the time being. But I think I actually did print the separations, so I have the separations. We just haven't burned it.
That's okay. I was just curious. It's funny. I've had a number of clients and potential clients that needed help on separations, and I'm finding that maybe I'm doing them often enough now, but I'm knocking them out for the most part in about 20 minutes.
Nice.
And in general, they're working pretty well. I mean, once in a while they do need an adjustment, but not a tremendous one. And I was just curious about that. But I know a lot of your stuff is still vector, which if it were me, as you start getting into a new season and you're able to adjust the design, working it over in more towards a raster image, which will definitely allow you to set up faster and actually be a little bit more consistent, because all you have to do is document like crazy so that the next time you set up, you just follow that documentation and not have to start from scratch all over again.
That's what we're doing. I'm trying in the designs I'm doing to move much more towards raster images. The drawback is we're now, instead of doing vector aircraft, we're actually doing raster aircraft. But a lot of the logos and symbols from World War II are all vector type images, so they don't lend themselves to raster as much. So we're doing a mix now, doing much more of raster stuff.
Well, certainly there's going to be designs that you have to leave as vector. You have no choice. But any of them that you look at that could be translated into a raster image, I would certainly go forward and do that. Are you doing anything with AI at all? Are you playing with any of the software?
Ask you about that. I know that last time we talked, I started dabbling with Midjourney. The problem I found with Midjourney is their aircraft is completely unrecognizable. They're giving us airplanes with 3 wings and 5 engines and all kinds of weird stuff. But as I keep checking back every couple months or so, they're getting better. So
yeah, let me know, because Jim has Midjourney, and he's got another one. I forget which one it is, which I didn't like for what I was looking for. If you send me a design, what I can do is ask Dane because he's using a bunch of different AI. I can ask him to play with it when he has a chance to see which one comes up with the best reproduction of the particular plane that you want.
Yeah.
So if you send me just a PDF of a particular image, I'm going to see him on Thursday. And so I can ask him to just kind of kick around on it and see which of the AI images that or the AI companies that he's working with would give him or give you the best finished situation.
We can do that. We can do that.
If you can get it, if you can play with AI and get it to where you're not going to get it exactly to what you're thinking of, but it'll give you enough of it where you can go in and have it modified to move over to where you need it to be.
We have used a lot of AI in our dye sublimation stuff.
Okay.
So a lot of the images we're putting on mugs and that kind of thing. So that has worked out because I'm using it to create more of a scene, of a feel, and not specific airplanes. Because as you said, when you have a shirt that's all about the image, then that's one issue. But a lot of what we're doing, we got people who are airplane aficionados, and they want to be able to make sure I got the right number of rivets in every airplane. So
Oh, I know.
So
You know, it's funny. When I first moved to Denver, the company that brought me in dealt with the ski industry, obviously being Colorado and skiing, et
yeah,
cetera. And so I'd look at the design and say, wow, that looks great. And they said, it'll never sell. The guy's in the wrong position. And it's like,
yeah,
what do you mean he's in the wrong position? He's not,
yeah.
his face isn't in the snow. It can't be the wrong position. But yeah, I certainly understand when you deal with somebody who is a nut on a particular topic, they're going to
Yes,
pick out anything that isn't quite the way it should be. And so in your case, especially with all the vintage planes, they've got to be dead on the money.
yep.
And I totally understand that.
But I am looking forward to when AI gets good enough that it can do the designs for me. So, and like
Yeah,
I
I
said, it's
mean,
getting better, it's getting closer.
yeah, certainly for what I've been doing, I've been playing with AI and for the workshops and then enhancing the image, et cetera. Dana's been going in and doing some modifications, just like the shirt. Well, both of you are wearing shirts that were AI designs that were then modified. And you know, I've got some that I didn't even bother modifying, just uh, up. I forget what they call it, where you enhance the image.
I'm
Um,
scared.
yeah. Uh, some of it just works just the way it needs to be. Boom, here it is, all done. Um, much as I'm not a big AI fan in the sense of you, it takes some of the creativity away from what an artist does. Uh, that at the same time, boy, you could knock out a hell of a lot of stuff in a short period of time and find something close enough to what you want where even if an artist has to go in, they're going in and they're modifying it and they're done in 15, 20 minutes, which is a great thing. So,
Yep.
but again, it's kind of like with you with photography. Now that AI is in, do I really need an artist that works for me? I was looking back to when I had my print shop back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, I had 6 artists that worked for me, and to do a design was a full color design for a rock shirt or whatever was 30 to 40 hours of work. And now to do something of that same nature, probably get it done in an hour, hour and a half, maybe. Um, some of it being generated through AI, some of it then being modified. Back then, to send out to Serochrome Seps for a set of separations in the 80s was $500 to $800 for the separations.
Yep.
And today, I can knock out those separations in Sep Studio in 20 to 30 minutes.
Yep.
At a cost of next to nothing in the sense of I own the software. So, for $220 a year, I've got that software and I can just crank away at it. Crazy.
By the way, I am getting a little bit more comfortable with Sep Studio. I'm still a couple of things I'm working with, but it's getting a little bit more user friendly for me. I'm getting used to it.
I mean, if you ever want, I can certainly set it up where if you send me an image and you have the image, I can go through it on my computer because I've been playing quite a bit. So I've been able to eliminate certain colors because I know you guys are limited on the number of colors you can print. You can do what, 5 colors?
6 colors.
6.
5 with an underbase.
6 including the flash?
Yes.
Okay, so you can do a total of 6 actual colors, base, flash, and then 5 more colors.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, for some of the companies I've been doing some work with, they're limited to a total of 5 colors, the underbase and 4. And so I've found creative ways of getting around certain situations. And so if you have anything that you want to go through, if you send me the image, uh, I can go through it while you're going through it and explain why I'm making certain moves if it's something that's on the more complex side.
Okay. We appreciate
So,
that.
yeah, I mean, I'd just set up a Zoom session and we would just go, work our way right through the whole thing.
Cool.
In any event, it's been great having you guys on. Like I said, I will have this on my website. My guy will probably have it on in the next 3 to 4 days, should you want to go back, because the whole thing was recorded, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
So, if you needed to go back and go through anything, that's fine. Otherwise, I told Rocky, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing anything at the Dallas show, or I'm going to do something, but I'm not sure if there's even going to be a workshop. So I'll keep you guys tuned into whatever's going on there, which is seriously pissing me off, but hey, out of my control.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of that, and it does sound different.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, when you bring in a manufacturer to run your workshops and seminars, and that includes embroidery, etc., they're setting up everything, and it's like, okay, I mean, what would I know? I've only been doing that workshop for 40 years, so what the hell? In any event, I'll keep you I'll keep you in the loop as to if and when I'll be there and how long I'll be there and what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know kind of, everything you've got going on, because I mean, certainly we're here in Dallas, but there's other stuff that we can
travel
connect with. Yeah, we'd love to do it.
And like I mentioned to Rocky, they've even changed the dates of the show. They've moved it back, so it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday show now.
Wow. So all the sort of people who are interested and still working full time, and
yeah, they're screwed. So Saturday was when you had a lot of the smaller shops or shops from out of town that had to drive in a ways. They could drive in Friday after work, etc. Not that many people won't even come to Dallas because they'd rather go to Fort Worth, and it's being held at the Lowe's Anatole. So I guess they have a convention center room or whatever. So it's not even downtown, it's just outside of town.
Yeah. So I haven't been in the Anatole in a long time. I don't know what that looks like.
I remember passing it many years ago. I know where it is. I've never been in it, but I just think that the organization that is running all of this is making a mistake. But hey, what do I know?
It sounds like they're not putting the money or effort into it before. And I wonder if that's because the Fort Worth Convention Center isn't ready. Maybe they just decided to downsize it temporarily or something. I don't know. But once you go that route, you can kind of kill it for the future, because if, I'm saying, if will it ever, rhetorical question is, will it ever get back to where it was? If you kind of cut it and trim it and mold it and force it in that way. But
well,
who knows?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. In any event, I'll be in touch with you guys to let you know if there's anything worthwhile happening or whatever. But
Okay.
That being said, you guys have a great day. If there's anything I can do, just get in touch with me. I'd be happy to help out.
We appreciate it so
Absolutely.
much.
It's always good to see you, Charlie. Thank you so much for everything.
No, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it as well. And like I said, Rocky, if there's anything I can help you with in terms of procedural, just give me a holler.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.